One of the future preparations or predictions for solutions to the housing market crisis is the building of new homes by contractors or builders. There's an expectation that millions of homes will be coming into the marketplace for home buyers as builders and construction companies accelerate the building of single-family homes. But one of the things that's happening behind the scenes that may be slowing that inventory down getting to the market is even within the new home construction, there are investors and hedge funds buying these homes before they even get to the retail market. One of the factors that's been talked about quite a bit in the used resale home market are hedge funds and investors coming in and buying up resale homes, bidding all cash to offer them as rentals or to flip them. The new home market has not been threatened as much by that purchasing competition. But according to the Wall Street Journal, it appears that home builders are bypassing individual retail home buyers to sell directly to investors. Because mortgage rates are starting to get some price sensitivity by home buyers, the price sensitivity doesn't exist with investors. So if retail home buyers are not going to buy a home with a 5 or 6% mortgage because the payment's too high, it doesn't necessarily mean that the builder has to lower the price. There are other buyers in the marketplace that are not interest rate sensitive and therefore not price sensitive. You can still come in and buy a house for cash, use your institutional or commercial lending facility, not as a individual mortgage on the property, but as a commercial line of credit that you use as a company to buy hundreds of homes at a time at a lower rate, and you can still make a cash flow by renting these homes out to retail individual residents. Here's how that works. These investors who buy and sell houses are becoming popular customers of home builders. They're looking to buy in bulk these new constructions. More than 1 in every 4 homes that were built by a new home builder was purchased by a professional rental investor. Notice the term rental. And these investors have amassed $89 billion in capital to spend on building or buying new rental homes. And that's going to be something which has an effect on new home availability. So let's do the math on that. Let's suppose that an institutional investor is going to buy a house that's $400,000, and that's kind of in the sweet spot of median homes, even new construction, for a 12 to 1,600 square foot home might be $400,000 directly from the builder. And now that house might go for $450,000 or $460,000 if it was sold retail to a new home buyer, but without a real estate commission, a brokerage commission, in bulk, maybe $400,000 is more like what the institutional buyer might pay. Well, institutional buyer can still get cheap money inside their lending facility. So if they have a line of credit from a large commercial lender, maybe they have a 4%, and that's even probably at the high end, line of credit, and it's interest only. So they buy that $400,000 house, 4% interest only, that's $16,000 a year in interest. Boils down to about $1,300 a month in interest payments. Now they'll have tax and insurance and some management fees on top of that, but it's still going to put them way less than $2,000. Probably about $1,700, $1,800 in total monthly carrying cost. That's a house, a brand new 3-2 house, 1,600 square feet, can easily rent for $2,500, $2,800, $2,900. So in reality, they don't have any capital outlay because they're not putting any money cash out of pocket. They're using their entire credit line for the purchase. So their return on investment is very high. They have some hard costs for fixed overhead of employees, fixed overhead of maybe marketing, advertising. But having an outlay of $1,700 a month in expense for a $2,700 or $2,800 a month revenue stream, that's $1,000 a month per house. You get 1,000 homes, that's $1 million a month. That's a $12 million business without having any capital outlay. So this is the reason why home builders are choosing to sell to bulk investors, because they can turn a profit on the new homes quickly. They don't have to let the homes sit. And they don't have to worry about appraisals, financing, delays, closing costs, punch lists. It's a clean deal. And the rising mortgage rates aren't affecting the values of these new homes. The builders are basically paying cash. They have financing behind the scenes, but it's a lower rate, interest only, and they still have a return on their investment. They don't have the price sensitivity that a retail buyer might have, because a retail buyer has to look at their budget. Can I afford the mortgage at $2,000 a month, $2,200 a month for a 30-year mortgage? They have to make that decision, and the lender also has to make that decision for them. Even if the buyer thinks, I can afford $2,000 a month, if their lender looks at their budget and their tax returns and their income statements and does not feel that they can afford that, the deal's dead. Or if the appraisal comes in at 380 rather than 410, deal's dead. So the builder can look at these institutional investors and these commercial buyers as a clean deal. No hassle, no closing costs, no delays, cash deal, and they can eliminate some of the retail costs, such as a sales commission. And it doesn't affect the demand for rentals. In fact, it helps the demand, because those potential buyers that didn't buy the house as a purchase still need a place to live. So the same number of residents are out there needing a place to live. So if you're a potential buyer of that home and you didn't get it because you couldn't get your mortgage approved, or there was too much of a bidding war, or it was never available on the sales market because the builder sold it directly to an investment company, you might say, well, we have to find a place to live, so let's just rent a house. You might end up renting the same house for $2,400, $2,500, $2,700. So the rent might be more than what you would have paid on a purchase. Now, you wouldn't have any money down on the rent, so you wouldn't have to come out of pocket $70,000 or $80,000. But that's where the arbitrage for the home builders with the investors are making it a perfect storm to having fewer ownership homes on the market. And just like we said, the investors are a reliable customer because interest rates don't affect them. They already have the cash on hand. They have a line of credit. They don't have to get an individual mortgage for each property. And here's an example of a builder. This particular builder in Arizona decided to focus entirely on rental houses. So his building pipeline is building houses for rental buyers, not for individual retail buyers. And it also helps streamline the building process. You can build all the houses the same as a commercial builder or general contractor. You don't have to sit with the buyers for each house and go over paint swatches and granite selections and flooring. Everyone's different, which slows down the building process. You can build them all the same, or maybe have 2 or 3 options and just crank out the houses and not worry about the fact that one particular buyer might want a very unusual combination of interior finishes, and it makes the building process cheaper. A builder might save $5,000 or $10,000 on labor costs, on efficiency of not having to customize each house with interior finishes selected by the buyer. And sometimes at the last minute they'll change and want a different finish. And even though they may pay more for it, it's not a big profit margin for the builder, because the price of the house can't change too much because the lender is not going to add on another $30,000 in appraisal value just because you spent $30,000 more on interior finishing. The appraisal value is not going to change that much. And here's an example. That builder built a community of homes that are renting for $2,500 a month. And these houses are only 1,100 square feet. So the construction cost at maybe $200 a foot, that's going to put you at $220,000 building cost, plus a lot that might cost you $30 or $40. You have some site work, some permits. Your cost basis may be $300 or $310 or so as a builder, and you can sell it for a clean deal for $400. The buyer now has, like we talked about, $400,000. They have a payment of $1,300 plus tax and insurance, maybe $1,600. They rent it for $2,500. They make $900 a month. Cash flow. The builder is probably better off selling that house directly to the investor at $400 rather than selling it for $459 to a retail buyer, because $459 you have a 6% sales commission, so now that's $25,000. That brings your net down to $430. By the time you do extra labor, the delays in construction, missed opportunity moving on to the next house, and additional costs for customizing the house, that might eat up that entire $25,000 or $30,000 extra net profit. So these deals, even though they might be transacting for less money, are much more appealing for the builder or general contractor. So how does this affect you? If you are a new home buyer, you may not see this invisible market competition building houses or taking up the resources of home builders to build rentals dedicated single-family house. If you are a general contractor and you are considering building for a retail buyer or a rental investor, consider the math on both of those. If you're selling to a retail buyer, maybe you mark up the margin more because the cost basis will be higher. And maybe you want to sell to some of the rental investors because it'll be a more streamlined process. It kind of boils down to what kind of general contractor you are. If you're more of a custom, low volume builder, now you can focus on the retail buyer for single family homes. If you are a higher volume construction company, then maybe some of these commercial investors might be more appealing. If that's the case, you may want to adjust your floor plans and your finish packages accordingly if they're going to be rentals, because a rental with a builder grade cabinet, countertop, paint, floor is going to rent for about the same as one with higher grade finishes. And if it costs you $20,000 or $30,000 more for higher grade finishes, you're not going to get that much more from the investor. From a retail buyer, you may get more because they may put more emphasis on those specific design type features. But if retail buyers are going to be less present in the market, it may be a speculative risk for you as a general contractor to build homes with those upgraded interior finishes. Also, floor plan sizes. A retail buyer is going to want a bigger home, in the 2,000 square foot range, 1,800, 1,900 at least. Where rental home consumers, they may want the bigger space, but as a rental, they're going to be more comfortable with 11, 12, 1,400 square feet, maybe 1,500 square feet, because it's going to be bigger than an apartment anyways. Even if it was the same size as an apartment, the fact that it's a detached single family home is the advantage. That's the advantage they're looking at. The size is equal to an apartment. Paying a little bit more to have a detached home and a single family form factor will be the thing that gets that rental demand up. And you can back into the math to know what your investor buyer is looking at for math. Most of them have lines of credit in the 3 to 4% range right now, and that may go up later this year. So you can back into the math. You know what the taxes are going to be. You can get an estimate on insurance if there's HOA fees. Back into that math. They probably have about a 10% management expense for the maintenance, upgrade, or maintenance, repairs, management fees, some vacancy factor. If you factor in 10%, that's their cost basis. And you can do the math accordingly and know what they're going to rent it for. That's how you can back into your numbers of what the transaction price might be from a rental investor standpoint. If you are an investor and you're looking to purchase homes to rent out as new homes, you may find builders that are already building that way, but you may want to contract with a particular builder to build 2 or 3 homes for you as rentals, either in an existing retail neighborhood or in infill lots, or maybe one single parcel that's a small parcel that can be subdivided to fit 3 or 4 homes into it, separate detached homes. And if you work with the right kind of builder and tell them what you're looking to do, there can be an economy of scale with septic or utilities, with 0 lot lines possibly. If it's a rental property, you can do 0 lot lines a lot easier because the end user demand isn't going to discount that type of plot of the floor plan on the lot as much as a retail buyer would. So there's a lot of opportunities for everybody. If you are a retail buyer and you're looking to buy a house to live in, consider this hidden, secret, invisible market that's taking up resources as another competitor, and it might accelerate or make it more urgent to get into a home as soon as you can.